is what dictates who and when you decide to utilize a particular B-back during the course of a game or even a series within the game?
Yeah, Charles. So first and foremost, we've kind of built the depth in that stable more so as a unit, much like the O-line, as opposed to just a singular position group. So we've recruited it that way, we've trained it that way, and we really foster that culture. So that's kind of just the 50,000-foot view. How it's determined from a game planning and play-to-play, rep-to-rep, series-to-series is certain guys do things really well. If you think about it, much of a, like a third down back, short yardage back, maybe in a conventional set, certain guys bring different aspects to that B-back play just naturally. And really, as the role of the triple options expanded into some of our zone schemes, these guys have really, not just your old school traditional track guys anymore. Some of them are just very talented runners who we want to feature as running backs. Other guys still do that traditional triple option, double option stuff. And then other guys are more of your H-back style fullback that you think of with more conventional units. So as we kind of go through it, different guys kind of, lead in certain play types and categories that we like, but all of them are serviceable at everything. So we cross-train them all. Health goes into it. And, that position is a very violent and physical taxing position. So keeping the health of that unit together throughout the course of a season is paramount for us. And that's really the approach and the way we see it.
Great. And my follow-up and final question is, you just spoke about depth and tradition. We know that Penn State is linebacker U. Do you think that Army has earned the fullback U designation right now?
I do believe that. Yes, I think, kids are excited to be recruited here. We've got a lot of great guys in the program with that tradition, and they see that that's a featured part of our offense. But they're willing to play this brand of football, and I do think it's appealing to them.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
You got it.
Ken?
Mike, just staying on football, do you want to maybe go through your roster of players? You got, as Charles said, you got a lot of depth: Jacoby Buchanan, Tyson Riley, Anthony Atkins, Cade Barnard, even Wilson Cateau. Can maybe take us through those players and any others we missed that are part of the fullback spot?
Yeah, you got it, Ken. And we'll start just in order of guys that you might be most familiar with from seniority. So Cade Barnard, he's a guy who's played a lot of football, does everything very fundamentally sound, very fast, sees things really well, gets us into the right run fits, whether it's lead blocking or his ball carrying, really elite pass protector. Excited about his leadership as much as anything in the room and what he brings. The way we practice, we've talked about this in the past, is a little bit different. It's fast, it's up tempo, it's violent. And he's kind of the pace setter for that group, and a great voice who's played a lot of football and has been around a lot of championship teams for us. The next young man, Jacoby Buchanan, he continues to improve, just expanding his game. He kind of came in as a freshman as just a short yardage runner, but being a complete back and willing to develop after the spring and after last season, and really being able to sit down with him in the off season, talk about some of his deficiencies, some of his blind spots. I'm really excited about him becoming a complete back this year, and really taking the next step even as a ball carrier. Some more explosive runs, I think, are in the works for him, just as he sees things a little bit more, and some of the work he's put in the off season to know what an actual season looks like as a featured guy. I think there's a little bit of discovery that goes along with that for a player who plays a complete season, and then they're projecting themselves into the next year. I think Kobe's in a good headspace with that. Anthony Atkins, a guy who is really, we're excited about him. Ant's explosive, his long range speed, his burst, just the runner that we thought he was going to become, he's becoming. He is, from sometimes guys like Anthony who are really ultra talented, the fundamentals almost come last in the technical play that's required to be successful at this level, kind of the last things, because they've been so talented that they've gotten away with that. And then some of their deficiencies are highlighted early on. Well, Ant has done a great job of learning the offense, learning the position to a T. And, you know, I think Ant has done a great job, like Jacoby in the offseason, of changing his body and really, really working instrumentally with our speed team here, and the coaches there, and some of his running mechanics that Ant's primed to be in a good spot for this season. Tyson Riley, really the name that didn't play a whole lot last year. We were playing him a little bit at tight end, but Tyson Riley is another one of those model bigger backs, versatile backs that we enjoy here. He can do it all. He's really, really complete. You know, he's a former high school quarterback, and you know, football comes natural to him. He sees the whole field. He understands what different guys on the field are doing at any given rep. Gets great pre-snap reads, great pre-snap indicators. As far as being coachable and being able to auto-correct without getting a ton of reps, that might be what he does best. His ceiling is really, really high. So we're excited about that core group of younger guys to kind of build towards the future and play off one another and find their rhythm. You know, going back to Charles' question a little bit, that's kind of how we go about it too. There's a feel and an ebb and flow that goes along with it. And then the final young man that we haven't talked about yet and new to the position, Wilson Cato. So we've had guys in the past like a Kalen Holt and Andy Davidson, guys like that who've transitioned from the defensive side of the ball into the B-back role. And Wilson's just a hard-nosed, tough kid, explosive, violent, a big-time special teams contributor for several seasons, and will continue to excel at that role. And what he provides is just another senior voice in that room, and a guy who is building depth that if we need to get that far down that unit, we would be able to put Wilson in the game and feel really good about it.
Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Mike. Yeah, Mike, if you have one other topic, was thinking, in fact, the reason I asked to speak to you today is tough news. In fact, it's hard to find the right words coming out of Afghanistan, where you served. You earned a Bronze Star, and you've been such a great big advocate for veterans who have served overseas in recent times. What's your thought about reaction with the news you hear from overseas, from Afghanistan? Then how do you counsel the players who realize they may be in a situation like that sometime in the future?
Ken, I really appreciate you bringing up that topic. You know, first and foremost, my thoughts and prayers go out to the families of those 13 heroes and warriors who have courageously served our country and paid the ultimate sacrifice. So that's up there. Definitely an emotionally complicated scenario right now. As far as, you know, I think as a combat veteran, you remove yourself first and foremost, because you always have that servant mind in you. So you think about the people who are most impacted, and that's the Gold Star families they leave behind. So making sure that those families have the support systems in place and receive the support, not just now, but in the months to come, the years to come, and just be there for them and be a good, you know, be a good steward for the needs that will naturally arise to those families. You know, as far as how you lead and coach and mentor through that time, you know, the core mission of West Point is to develop leaders of character. And service is a very big part of what we teach and what we do and how we operate at West Point, and certainly in this program. So, you know, we get to talk about the real life scenarios daily here at West Point, why football matters here at Army, why football matters at West Point, and why football will continue to matter into their future. Is they're developing soft skills that you can't just teach in a controlled academic setting. You know, it's the training that they do in the summers, the vignettes that they go through here as cadets through their military training, but we look at football as an extension of that education. So when there's those valleys and those times seem very trying and difficult, we rally behind those, because those are great lessons and mechanisms to understand what service looks like and how to best prepare and equip them with those skills, those technical skills as leaders, that, to understand the contemporary environment they could be walking into, within a year or two. So, our guys are extremely professional, extremely mature. We talk about current events every day. It's part of our life. It's part of what we're designed to do here, is to be aware of the pulse of our country and the pulse of our military. And we just look at that as we're one with our military. So that's certainly something we lean forward in and have some very, very intimate discussions about, but look at it as leaders and professionals and how to best understand and navigate the path forward.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you, Ken.
Mike, if you could just follow up on Kenny's question, can you just share some your thoughts on serving in Afghanistan? How tough was it? Just give us a taste of what it's like to be a soldier over there.
Certainly we know what 20 years of combat has looked like. It's been pretty well documented in our country. As a platoon leader, leading a rifle platoon in the Arghandab River Valley, we're really the Kandahar province, and the Arghandab, that's the birthplace of the Taliban. And my thoughts are immediately back to the brave men and women I served with, and just the checkups on them, because that service, it's such a significant emotional time in your life. It's timeless, right? It feels like it happened yesterday because those emotions are so strong. So, your pride certainly comes into it, your loyalty, just the Army values as a whole. You learn about them, but then to live that ethos and that fabric for in combat gives you an immense sense of pride. And thinking back on my time in Afghanistan, to me, it's the most honorable year plus of my life, and not so much because of what we've done or what units do over there, but it's protecting a way of life here, obviously domestically. It's serving those and protecting those who can't necessarily protect themselves, and being extremely professional and exercising a lot of class on the back end to understand part of your duty continues as a civilian or further along in your life to mentor future leaders and cultivate it the right way, and not let it just be lost and to be stories, or to put it anywhere else but what it is. So I don't know if that directly answers your question, but those are my initial thoughts when I think about my time of service in Afghanistan and what it means to me and what it will always mean to me.
Sure. Did anybody check up on you? How are you doing with this news? I mean, it's got to bring back thoughts, emotions.
Yeah, just guys of brothers in arms, classmates, guys who I played with and served with. And I'll share a quick story because I think this paints a beautiful picture about how mature and how professional our guys are. We had a cookout last night with all the guys, dinner with the whole offense of unit. And Tiger Tyler came over to me and he goes, "Coach, you got a minute to talk here in a couple of minutes?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, TT, what's up?" So he grabs me and he goes, just looks me in the eye and asks me, he goes, "Coach, how are you doing?" And I said, I'm good. What's up?" He's like, "No, with everything going on, I'm sure it stirs up a lot of emotion and just thoughts. I don't know exactly what that might look like. I'm unsure and I'm a little nervous to kind of even approach it with you, but how are you doing?" And, just the maturity, the foresight, the awareness, to ask, one of your coaches and to think that way, just to me is what makes Army football second to none. And that, I looked at it reverse to him that, hey, I'm, want you to be okay. And, the earlier question we're asking, how we teach them lessons and usher them through a process, shepherd them through a process. And here are quarterbacks, pulling me aside and doing that checkup. So, yes, to answer your question, yes. And that's a story that just hit me. And, that just speaks to volumes to the types of men we bring into this program and leaders that we're going to send out to our Army.
All right, last one, guys. Any others?
Mike, you mentioned the Gold Star families. How much are you still involved with Legacies Alive, and how much do you stay in contact with, that journey that you run?
Yeah, so we're still a great nonprofit that we still run to this day. We're actually in the planning phase. We do a Gold Star family reunion at Army Navy every year. So we're actually, with our nonprofit, I'm on that committee, that working group, and we're getting everything in line to celebrate the 20th anniversary of 9/11 with those families. So I'm, very active as a co-founder and a member of the board, former president of the board. So I interact with Gold Star families weekly, and still very active with the nonprofit.